Hi, welcome everyone. सभी को नमस्कार on the second day of 18th World Education Summit. We are live on the 4th of March, and here we are with a dynamic person, Mr. Samit Singhai, co-founder of TruScholar. Welcome, Samit sir. Welcome to the 18th World Education Summit, and thank you for giving your precious time to this summit. So, Samit sir is going to be present on a wonderful topic, recognizing learning outcomes with the digital credentials and the badges. So here Samit sir is going to present the deck on which he's working right now, and the TruScholar prospects also regarding their future outcomes and the future of the higher education, how TruScholar is helping the higher education institutes in terms of the digital credentials and the badges. So I request Mr. Samit Singhai to take over the stage and present your presentation so that we can discuss it. And I request audience, if you have any question, to please put on your question in the Q&A section. We will take it live from the Samit Singhai. And we have also Mr. Mayur also join after this presentation. Over to you, Samit sir.
Thank you, Abhishek ji, and thank you, Elets Media, for providing such a beautiful platform to discuss the technological advances in the field of education. And I'm sure with this exhaustive World Education Summit 2021, with exhaustive speakers, 50 odd speakers across the globe, it's going to be learning for everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about, managing or measuring outcomes of learning, lifelong learning of individuals through digital credentials and badges, and how it is taking shape across the globe. So let me present my screen. Yeah, is that visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, Samit.
Great.
Just make it full screen. So I request Deepak to take me on the back stage. So after this presentation, we will have a Q&A section with the Samit sir.
So thank you, Abhishek, once again, and a very happy afternoon to all our fellow delegates, academicians, fellow doctorates, professors, educationists across the globe, our dear friends, followers, and well-wishers. First of all, it's a privilege to talk in such a conference and talk about what the new technology which is taking shape. And I am thankful for Elets Media for providing TruScholar, a startup, an opportunity to be credential partner with such a mega online virtual event. Friends, we all know that fast technological developments are penetrating every aspect of human life. And with COVID-19 pandemic, I think it has entered into transforming the education sector exponentially with endless possibilities. It doesn't matter how prepared you are, the institutes are, or how are you going to adapt yourselves to the new changing equations. But I'm sure the emerging tech models are going to influence higher education by either supplementing or substituting different education and learning models. I popularly call it as Education 4.0, which actually is in sync as in requirement with Industrial Revolution 4.0. And today I'm going to talk about how the future of universities, institutes, skill learning development, training programs are going to be dynamically transformedly digital in this digital world when it comes to handling of credentials of individuals for the skills that they're going to learn. So a little bit about how the flow would be. I would be talking about the different job profiles and skill set of 21st century and what kind of question does it poses to the educators around the world. Then we will talk about the need for Education 4.0 revolution and that what are the challenges that it needs to deal with. Furthermore, I would talk about fundamental aspects of recognizing learning outcomes of individuals through 21st century digital credential and badges and how it is taking shape across the globe for a better life, I would say that. In the end, I would conclude the very much needed question as to why we need a special attention to it now and how the world leading universities of the world are adopting it and the way forward to it. So, friends, how does the future jobs looks like to you? What does the industry 4.0 require us? The disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, IoTs, blockchain, AI, AR, VR are all simultaneously changing the way the skill set is needed for the 21st century. You might be astonished to hear that some of the career paths that we have as on today didn't even exist 10 years back. And to couple that, futuristic always predict that 85% of jobs that would exit in 2030 would have not been even invented yet. What that means, it translates to saying that an individual or a learner would actually hold 12 different job profiles during his lifetime. And I would say that's scary, probably. Or if it's not scary, it's thought provoking. And that leads to define what would be, the requirement for higher education for this dynamically changing world. This surely, this means that we need to evaluate the traditional teaching and learning models, which have been, very much affected by technology advances and innovation. And I'm sure nobody would deny that fact anymore with COVID-19 pandemic experience in the last 1 year. There is a clear cultural shift from hardcore traditional degree courses to multifaceted skills being in demand by 21st century. I would say gone are the days when the learners would become master of one skill set and would be able to earn a living out of it. The modern world needs a lot more multifaceted, multi-skilled, competence-based approach for completing any single assignment as of today. So what that means, we are moving from away from regular degree-based courses to skill-based, competence-based approach now. And I'm sure this is this is going to have a huge impact on how the learning will evolve for the learners to be future ready. How big impact it will have on learners learning life cycle, maybe reskilling or upskilling every day. And I think we should all acknowledge the fact that we have entered a new era of lifelong learning. The technological changes have been inducing shifts in the occupational structures and thereby transforming the demand for skills that are needed at a very faster rate. However, the point to think about is how are we going to safeguard the testimonials and validations of the new skills that we are going to learn in future. Well, to answer that, let's understand what is a credential. A credential in a traditional approach, I would say, is your testimonial to individuals' learning. And it could be anything, right, from your academic certificates to skill learning certificates to attendance of webinars, seminars, workshops. And it could well become your probably record keeping of your lifelong learning. However, the way they are dealt as on today with issuing physical certificates as credentials, I don't think so. They are talking about 21st century credential mapping at all. And I don't think so they are at all secure. So what does a 21st century credential, and I call it digital credential, would actually have inbuilt into it? It should be a certification talking about multiple skills, upskilling, reskilling, micro credentials that students learn either through traditional way of learning or through online platforms, through MOOCs and other places. It is a statement which would represent the skill set being learned in a very short span of time, and it also becomes a testimonial that can be validated digitally on a secure platform easily. And I can continue to talk about this, what could be potentially why we need to move from physical based or regular PDF format certificates to a more secure digital credentials. The value of these credentials lies not on the visual aspect of it, but it lies well within the metadata which is stored inside. Like you all might have experienced digital signature, which has been into practice since almost a decade now, which has your public and private key being mapped to a particular individual, and you are able to complete lot many tax compliance purposes by using your digital signature and sitting at your offices and homes. Similarly, a digital credential would have a lot of metadata built into it regarding who has issued the credential, to whom it was issued, when it was issued, why it was issued, and even talking about the expiry of such credentials, the validity of certain credentials to a time frame. And by understanding this, the world has already moved one step ahead. And today, universities and institutes are talking about not just digital credentials, they are talking about digital badges. Since we all live in 21st century where social media sharing is one of the most important aspect of human life, I would say that. Digital badges are nothing but your digitally validated indicators of accomplishment, skills, achievements, whatever you learn in terms of your soft skills, micro credentials that you earn for short-term courses to be, ready for the 21st century. And the way it are built and practiced is that they should be, well defined. They could be portable, they could be transferable, they could be easily available for verification, so that the whole partners of the whole ecosystem, right from institute to learners and to verifiers, which could be either the corporates or even higher education institutes, can validate such credentials securely on a trusted platform without having any feasibility of fraudulent credentials being penetrated into the system. And as I already talked about what could be the metadata that goes inside a digital badge or a credential. And the world has already come up with the open badge standard protocol, which talks about how you can define a digital badge with metadata being inbuilt inside it. So I think I am very sure that I may have given you a brief idea about how the industry 4.0 is bringing a lot of quick new changes to the society. The demand for open and flexible modules of education is growing, and the new players are entering into the game, are getting into the game. The traditional higher education models have to reinvent themselves to address these challenges, to cater the new digital natives of the world, the so-called millennials and the generation Z. And they have to move, from subject centered to learner centered models of delivery of content to their students. We would see a lot of focus on future skills, multi-institutional collaborative models taking shape in near future. And to counter this, we have built a very interesting solution called TruScholar, which is a credential issuance platform built over or backed by blockchain technology. And what this will do, it will make the issuance and verification process, the both sides of the equation, very fast and secured. It would make the records immutable, which cannot be deleted ever in the lifetime, and it would make them 100% verifiable for everyone in the ecosystem. And I'll talk about a little bit on blockchain technology and why we have used it. So TruScholar leverages blockchain technology, which is nothing but a distributed ledger technology. And what does that mean? You don't store data on a centralized server, but you store data on all the computers which are present into the network. And the storage is done along with the consensus mechanism. Once the network establishes the fact to store certain data or transaction or certain credential, they encrypt it and make a encrypted hash of that transaction. The next transactions, which again goes into the blockchain or into the platform with the consensus mechanism, carries an encrypted hash of the previous transaction. And that's how it makes a complete chain of transactions pointing to next transaction every time, making it as blockchain technology. And the best part is once you have any data being stored on the blockchain network, it becomes untampered. You cannot delete, change, or try to misalign any information which is stored on the blockchain network. It becomes credible, it becomes trustworthy, and it becomes 100% verifiable claim that can be checked back with the platform at any given point of time during the lifetime of individual learners. And that's how we have inbuilt a lot of exciting features with TruScholar. And today I'm going to talk about what features, what the world is looking forward when they talk about not only replacing their physical certificates for digital credentials, but how they are going to get a lot of understanding and value proposition out of using such digital credentials. I'll talk about each of one of this, shortly, so that I'll complete the complete spectrum of benefits with any blockchain-based digital credential management system. We have incorporated lot many good features into TruScholar, and I'll talk about starting with, you have the flexibility of designing your own certificates and badges on a click of a button using the editor platform provided on the TruScholar application. At the same time, we have provided a DigiLocker integration. Two important things that we were able to solve by using DigiLocker integration. We were able to do the KYC of students while enrollment or while you are onboarding students even digitally. I think even the physical institutes and universities worldwide are actually on digital platforms since last 1 year due to pandemic. And everyone now understands why we need to have a robust system of even doing the KYC for the students rather than the way that we used to do it earlier ages. Second, we are able to push the digital certificates to students' DigiLocker account, which is kind of a mandate by the central government. And we have inbuilt this feature free of cost for people who would be utilizing TruScholar platform. The most important thing about social media interaction and analytics tool built in with, so that you can understand how your learner or student is interacting or flashing the credentials with the world outside on social media platforms. You give your students a verifiable credential which they can share it on their social media profiles, and then you can make them as your brand ambassador itself and start monitoring the backtracks, the links that you are, and the branding that you're getting by sharing of 100% verifiable credentials over social media platforms. Well, this is another important feature that has been built into, where you can identify and analyze the skill sets which are preferred by the audience, I would say the learners, and even by the industry who actually are looking for certain new skill sets. Once you have a clear vision on what kind of skills are getting in demand, you probably can counter it with changing, upgrading your content and your delivery mechanisms to suit what world is looking forward to. We have made it easy integration. A lot of API integrations has been built it, where you can integrate your LMS platforms, maybe Canvas, Moodle, Talent MS, or even your event management tools. The way we are collaborating with Elets for this summit, I think you can very well utilize such platforms and issue credentials on a single click of a button. So I'm happy to say that all the delegates who are present today, would be having the flexibility and the facility of getting a credential of participation being powered by TruScholar platform to all the delegates of World Education Summit 2021 organized by Elets. And the last but not the least, we talked about a lot about how higher education institutes or universities would be gaining attraction and would utilize those digital credentials for their own benefit. The second recipient of the ecosystem is the learner himself. And the learner would gain a unique credential wallet, which will hold its lifelong learning records of skills that he's going to learn during his entire lifetime. And this gives him the power of sharing those credentials on his own consent rather than the institute storing it on some centralized server to any verifier of the outside world. Well, certainly the third ecosystem partner, the verifiers, which could be either the employers or even the higher education institutes, they too gain a lot out of it. I mean, they are on the recipient side, but I think they are the one who's going to benefit it a lot by having an access to digitally verifiable, validated credential of their new employees, which are going to come to their companies and really make miracles. It would be an interactive platform so that the employers could actually recognize the skills of their future employees on the social media platform itself. Well, I'm very thankful to my co-founder. He's a chartered accountant, Mayur Jhawar, who is, very passionate and enthusiastic CA. He is having vast 17 years of experience consulting thousands of companies in and around central India, and a very keen interest on entrepreneurship development in and around central part of India. I am a postgraduate industrial engineer. I am having my business interest in manufacturing and service sector. The most important aspect, I would say, that is the chemistry that we have as co-founders, being one from the engineering side and one from the finance side. And we both are very enthusiastic about learning and implementing modern tech tools for better life. Well, it comes down to the very last, probably, question that we need to answer, and why certainly, we should look forward for a digital credential platform. Why? There is a digital drive we clearly understand with our Prime Minister talking about Digital India. Lot many initiatives of governance being moved to digital form, and I think with national education policy being discussed, debated, recoined, explained by all the speakers during the summit. It talks about issuing digital certificates to your learners every year. We also have Niti Aayog and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship talking on their white papers of implementing digital credential ecosystem and even utilizing blockchain technology for that. As a POC, Government of India have already started using startup issuance recognition certificates and verification for startups on blockchain network. Least but not the last, I would say that, the personal data protection guidelines. Now, this is one of the most important revolutionary guideline that Indians are actually anticipating, and it would be implemented in a very short span of time. And that talks about how a data of an individual, which talks about classification of personal data, private data, all those kind of things, how it should be handled by corporates, institutes, employers worldwide. It gives a great power to the owner of the credentials or identities, how they can share it, how they can store it, and how they can ask any organization to, forget or delete their data being stored on any centralized server. And we have used privacy by design, design guidelines while we were working on the production version of TruScholar, and we have very well incorporated all the guidelines that would be coming up in personal data protection guideline. And this is very similar to how, companies across the globe, in Europe with GDPR being implemented in 2018, and then California Data Protection Act in USA, and then in Australia, the world is actually moving to more, having a good data protection bill nowadays. So we understand, there is a clear adoption by leading universities across the globe of using, digitizing the learning experience, the outcome of the learning experience in a digital format, making it available for sharing and for validation right on a click of a button. And then, shifting the whole focus, the mindset is shifting for whole higher education system, I would say that. And that takes us to the way forward, where we think, it's the right opportunity and time frame for Indian universities and institutes to quickly adopt digital credentials and badges platforms so that they can make their learners future ready. That's about it. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your patience, and I hope I am able to, convey why we are in need of implementing a digital credential and badge ecosystem. I now throw it open for questions. Thank you. Yeah, Abhishek ji.
Thank you, Samitji, for this wonderful deck and wonderful presentation of all the initiative taken by you and your team and the True Scholar under this higher education. Actually, we are running out of time, so just some quick questions I want to ask Samitji to you. That what is the need of the hour that you understand that you come to this digital credentials and the digital certificates, and what are the major challenges you are facing right now when you're reaching to the stakeholders regarding their mindset of this digital badges, digital credentials? Samiji, what are your overall experiences with the higher education stakeholders regarding your initiatives?
To be, I would say that's in being a complete surprise for us. And we found that, we have been speaking to lot many decision makers in traditional universities, modern universities, who are looking forward of implementing tech tools in improving their education content and delivery mechanisms. And we have found surprisingly that the adoption or the inclination of using such system is on a very high scale, and they're very keen to sign up and actually try it out how it can really benefit themselves of providing digital credentials and badges. And I think we have already discussed this in last one day, probably the summit, with speakers talking about how Indian employers and Indian individuals are razor sharp and technically very advanced, and that's the same level of adoption at across education institutes, maybe universities, maybe at tech companies, maybe educators module who are bringing out content, churning out on their individual platforms, maybe YouTube's or their podcast, and they're actually trying to leverage this whole digital credentials and badges ecosystem.
And Samiji, how you are using the blockchain on the large scale? Actually, people are right now not used of this blockchain. So what is made that you have taken the blockchain technology into a TruScholar and sharing the initiatives to the higher education state? So what your experience regarding this
Actually,
blockchain?
I
And
am not. I didn't got your question completely. Probably due to some
actually,
network
I'm
issue.
just
Can you?
asking Samiji that how you are using this blockchain technology in this TruScholar domain, and what the major benefit you are taking this out of this technologies.
Yeah, so it happened during our learning 6 months learning with IMT Ghaziabad of a blockchain technology management course, where we kind of really understood what a blockchain technology is and what are the potential use cases where this technology is making indoors. So whether it is provenance of records, supply chain management, whether it is tracking of minerals from mines, all those kind of use cases where you have multiple stakeholders and you need everyone to know the true value of any transaction or a credential. It is one of the premier technologies, and we are trying to build TruScholar on a public permission network so that anyone can join it at any point of time. At the same time, we are trying to provide, a credential wallet to the learner, which would not only be a simple credential wallet, but it would be a self-sovereign identity wallet, I would say that, which they can utilize it not only to share their credentials to anyone, but they can even start using it at a later stage by doing any hospitality check-in, maybe trying to have their health records map onto it, and doing, hotel check-ins, flight boardings, and all those things. So that's the kind of vision that we have already taken it from day one in building TruScholar platform.
Thank you, Samitji, and you have much elaborated in the more broader areas regarding the future of this technology and how TruScholar is helping out the institutes, universities, and other schools and other domains also. So I request all my audience that if you want to avail this solution, Samitji and Mayurji is available on our exhibition space area also. You can have a chat also. You can do the face-to-face networking also. And if there's any particular question that you have to ask, you can drop at education@digitallearning.in. We will directly forward this question to Samit and Mayurji so that if they revert, we will get back to you. And if you want to take solution right now, you can directly meet right now in the exhibition space area. You drop your query, they will get back to you. Thank you, Samitji. Thank you for giving your precious
Thank
time to
you,
World
Venkaji.
Education
Thank you very
Summit.
much.
And this is the token of appreciation from World Education Summit side. To the speaker certificate is presented to Mr. Samit Singhai, co-founder, True Scholar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samitji. Thank you
It's
very
a
much.
privilege to speak on such event. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Deepak, we are moving to our next session. So, I request you till then play the AV, and till then our other panelists will join.